We all had an early vision of what our lives would look like, and then life actually happened. From marriage to motherhood, career dreams, and everything in between, this is Life Actually with Mary Belle.
Welcome back to Life Actually with Mary Belle. As always, I am Mary Belle with Claudio of Cayivisions on set here. And I just love it over here. I'm telling you, I feel like I got my shit together, for being honest. Today's episode I left as a little bit of a surprise because we've talked a lot about me and chasing dreams and work from home momming and mom guilt. And not that that stuff is particularly heavy, but it's very real life and can be a little positive, negative, depending on how you take it. But we're completely flipping the script here today because I was inspired by a really funny meme that was going around on Instagram about throwback nostalgia. And as a segue from all the parenting and relationship stuff, I think all of us say, what a bunch of assholes we were that back in the day we didn't realize how good we had it. You know, like aging is wild and hindsight is a beautiful thing, but you do not realize the beautiful spaces in life you are in until you get to the next stage. And you're like, well, shit, like I had a whole lot less responsibilities back then. Or, you know, and again, we talk about this all the time. I have terrible mouth. You know, you got the world by the balls and you don't realize it when you're in it. You know, you go through the next stages of your life and you end up doing parenting, relationships, health. And you're like, wow, remember when I was 20 and I had like not one care in the world? I had like no actual real life problems. But back then you felt like you did. But hindsight is like, nah, you didn't have problems back then. So we're bringing it back to like the 90s and early 2000s if you're a millennial like myself. Claudio, what are you? Are you a Gen X?
I'm like you. I think I'm on the cusp. I was 1980.
Okay.
So I think that's where it changes from
X to millennial?
Yeah.
Okay. So probably for anybody in those, like this is going to be some, like I have words on here that are just, you're going to smell it, even though the scent's not going to be there. But that's what we're talking about, our nostalgia throwback stuff. And I think it's gonna be a feel-good episode for sure. So the meme that started on Instagram that made me think about this was that it was like a block and it had, I think, 9 different pictures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes, 9. And it said, if these were all still in the mall right now, like if it was back in the day, which store would you be hitting up first? And the options were Structure, which I don't even remember. I don't. Do you remember what Structure was?
Yeah, wasn't it a clothing store? I think.
I guess. I don't remember. Spencer Gifts, which had like all that like wacky stuff in it. Probably a lot of inappropriate stuff too. I believe.
Yeah. It's like all fun, like gimmicky things.
Yeah, but there was like, I think there was like sex stuff too, even though you were not supposed to do that. And like disco balls and lava lamps and like the people who wore like the rings in it. I don't know. It was like,
oh, yeah. I do. I remember a little bit of that.
Yeah, it was a little bit of everything. Warner Brothers, which was, I guess, a version of Disney. Hot Topic, which wasn't it goth clothes?
Yeah, it was very like goth clothes. Although later on in time, it started getting like very like hipster type. Like
okay,
there was a lot of like nostalgia type of clothing. But back when we were like in that time period, it was very much like the goth kids.
It was like edgy.
Yeah.
It wasn't like you were wearing American Eagle or Aeropostale. That was like for the.
You would be Hot Topic out.
Skater Boys.
Well, I did not know that
one. Disney. Obviously, we know what Disney is. Suncoast, which. What was Suncoast? I should have done better researching. Suncoast, I remember from when I used to play either Mall Madness or Meet Me at the Mall. Suncoast was what?
Was that also clothing or no? I don't remember. I
maybe.
can look it up.
All right, yeah, you look it up. Sam Goody, which we got the new albums when they dropped at Sam Goody. Okay, and the posters. Oh my God, the freaking posters. I loved the poster section. Claire's, which is actually still rocking and rolling and stealing all of our money. If you're a mom of a daughter, you know that. And Walden Books, which of course a bookstore. I'm an author, so that should tug at my heartstrings, but it doesn't necessarily because back then I didn't know I was going to be an author. So you saw what Suncoast is or no?
I think I just found something. And it says... Ooh, I know. Putting me on the... I'm going to have to cut all this out.
I told Claudia, well, here, while he's searching that, the first 3 episodes, I would like randomly look at him and ask him a question because it is very awkward to just talk to yourself for a half hour. So then I would ask him a question, but he didn't have the mic on. So you didn't really hear his response, even though I tried to reiterate it. So I said today, I need you on the mic so that when I randomly ask you questions, and now I'm asking him a bunch of questions in succession. No pressure.
I think it was like movies and videos.
It was another version of Sam Goody? Sam Goody?
But only movie, because it was the motion picture company.
Oh, okay. Yes. So you could buy movies or...
Well, also like posters and like things from
Okay.
like different movie sets and stuff.
Okay,
or not
but
sets,
not...
but like like figurines and like memorabilia, I guess you would call it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Think.
So I posted this in my story, and I basically asked everybody to weigh in on the stores that they would have shopped at. And it was all sort of evenly picked, but there were 4 front runners: Spencer Gifts, Hot Topic, Disney, and Sam Goody. And somebody asked, where was Bath and Body Works? Which technically Bath and Body Works is still around, but so is Claire's. So I'm with them on that. And I did a little deep dive Google search to remind me of the scents of my youth, and probably a lot of you guys too. And this is the section where I'm going to say these scents, and you're immediately going to smell them in your nostrils. Okay. You might be dead if you don't smell them. So from Bath and Body Works, Country Apple. I don't know if any of this is going to resonate with you. This is like, I was in middle school and high school, and we didn't know how to operate back then. So you would spray like half a bottle of the shit on, and then you'd smell like an apple orchard walking into school. It was a bit much. Country Apple, Sun-Ripened Raspberry, a banger, and Cucumber Melon. I don't know why we all walked around like a bunch of fruit section of the grocery store, but we loved ourselves, and that was all that mattered. Next was the Gap scents. Are you guys ready for this trip down memory lane? I have the biggest smile on my face. If you're listening, you could probably hear it. If you're watching, obviously you could see it. Gap scents back in the day. Dream, Heaven, which was that like orangey red container, was a little bit more of the musky, which was my vibe. If you've ever smelled me before, obviously you know that. Grass, Earth, and Day. Those 3 were not my vibe. I don't really like smelling like the grass or the earth. But I know a bunch of people who used to wear those. Oh my God. Pair those with your Gap hooded sweatshirts. Those are Jay's favorite. The old school Gap original sweats and sweatshirts. That man loves a good sweatshirt and sweatpant combo. So those were the Gap scents. Next up, a couple people submitted stores that were not in the options in that original meme. Joyce Leslie's. Joyce Leslie, I don't know if it was plural or singular, but it had like, I don't know, you can get like a tank top for like $3.99. And you'd get the spaghetti strap tank top in like 17 different colors, and you'd wear it with your jean shorts, and oh my God, the curly hair with the side bang that would be flat ironed. So we'd make our hair curly. Whether you had curly hair or not, you got your, I think, Dep gel or LA Looks hard gel.
I remember that.
And you would...
I definitely remember the LA
Yeah,
look.
did you use it? Did you do a little side?
It would be like a helmet after a while.
Yeah. You could literally go like this.
Yeah.
And you could hear your hair just crunching because it was like a helmet that you wore. Yeah. But if you were like super next level, you would, as a female, you would put the gel in your curls or waves. They'd be crunchy. And then you'd take this part of your hair and you'd flat iron a straight bang down. Like, what? Who told us that looked good? But we did it. And also, you would take those zigzag headbands and you'd put them, actually, you would not, I don't think I left the bang out. The zigzag headbands that would do sort of the same thing like when you went on vacation and you'd get those braids, you know? Like, and then you get the braids halfway through and like you basically had a migraine for 7 days after, but it was worth it because you were like, yeah, I just went on vacation and I got my braids, and then you have to put the sunscreen in the part so you wouldn't get your scalp all burned. Guys, those were the days. Oh my goodness. Okay, so next to Joyce Leslie, Deb, which was another clothing store, and somebody else said FYE, which I believe stood for your entertainment, and that was
I think that came after the Sam Goody era. It was because it was all, I think it was more so movies, but there was music there too. But it was kind of like the successor of I think Sam Goody.
All right, maybe a little like combo then of the movies and the music together.
And it also depends on like where you shopped. So like if you went, for example, the Galleria, you would get a variety of stores. And then if you're in Westchester and you're listening, when the Westchester Mall kind of like came, and that was not here for always, when it kind of got built and they put new stores in there would be a different, like, kind of similar stores that they had in Galleria, but like I guess maybe more upscale because they were trying to make it like
fancy,
super fancy.
Yeah.
So I believe FYE may have been in there.
Okay.
When they kind of moved in. I don't know. I'm trying to. This is a long.
Do you remember just
time
kicking
ago.
it at the mall?
Yeah, it was different times. It was much more like, thinking on it now, like you said earlier, like no worries. Like there was no real problems. Just like, are we gonna hang out later on? Are we gonna go down to the thing or hang out? It was.
Oh my God! And like my dad was always a protective guy, but like I was allowed to go to the mall. I would not send my kids to the mall by herself for anything. Now I wouldn't. And even when I'm in the mall walking around, like, and this is not a joke, but like, I think everybody's like a child trafficker. Like, don't come too close to me. Like, It's just such a different vibe. And like, if you were a parent back then, did you feel it back then?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question because I think our parents, especially compared to parents today, were way more lax with like, they almost were like, oh, well, go and hang out and just make sure you're back at
when the sun goes down.
Right. So it wasn't so much like, oh, yes, be careful, but more so like, be careful you don't get run over.
Right.
It wasn't like, oh, be careful, there's going to be a strange man and
you don't
trying
get abducted,
to lure you or whatever. I think that kind of came a little bit after. So I think that parents today have it a lot worse because that got worse.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something in the back of everyone's mind today versus I think then. I think we came from a time where times were more innocent.
And I think too, if you ask our parents, the way that they were raised was different too than the way that we were raised. So like they were hanging out with people like in their backyards and going to lakes. They weren't going to malls back. There were no malls, so they didn't even have that as like a question of safety. You just didn't do that. But maybe if like my parents grew up in the Bronx and my grandparents, it's like you're just walking from block to block, like, and your whole family lived there. So you couldn't even walk a block without probably like a great aunt shouting out the window at you. Like you had your own built-in Ring cameras.
Yeah, there were eyes all over you.
Yes, you couldn't do anything without somebody seeing it or like a little Italian lady going to tell somebody else. So it's really interesting when you think about that from generation to generation. And then like, holy shit, like if my kid, I don't feel comfortable like that she would go to the mall on her own, then what's it going to be like for her kid? But let's not get depressed here on a Tuesday. Oh my God. Some of the other stores were Wet Seal, which were more clothes, and 579, which I have words with 579. So if you don't know, 579 were the sizes 5, 7, and 9. And I will have you know, I have never in my whole life been a 5, a 7, or 9. I've never been a single digit. So excuse me, but F that store. Okay. I could never shop there, and I think they actually did carry like an 11, but I didn't even fit into the 11 either. So like I said, F them. Delia's catalog. This is a shout out to one of my friends from high school. She wasn't like a super duper close friend, but like I was friendly with everybody in high school. Jess Goodman is her married name, but she was a model. And she was in my Delia's catalog. And when I tell you, like, I felt like I was famous that I knew a girl in a catalog, and she's so beautiful. She's a total model. She's tall, she's thin, she's blonde, she's gorgeous. And she was in the catalog back then, but that was the start of like the beginning of not even online shopping because we didn't have our computers to like shop on back then. But you used to open the catalog, pick out the items that you wanted, and you could either submit a form with your items on the form and mail the form in. I don't even know how long that took. It probably took a month to get the form in with, I think, what did we do? A check payment? Did we send in checks?
It had to be a check because there was no there were credit cards, but you weren't putting your credit card out like that.
No.
Do you remember way back in the day, I think it was Columbia House, where you would get like all the music or movies, and you would get like 10 for like $2, and then it would be like a subscription that you would have to then buy.
Yes.
I mean, when I discovered that, I was like,
it's all God. Over.
Yeah, it was terrible though.
Take all my money, you said.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, but I'm just thinking about it, like, and then even think about like how long it would take for the package to get back to you. And I don't even know like if they offered returns or I don't remember, but like Oh my God.
I don't think so. I don't think that, I mean, it must have been a thing, but not like it is today.
Oh no.
Today, I think there's a whole secondary market just based on like returns and like, that whole commerce of like reselling. Whereas back in the day, it's like, yeah, you would get your 30-day, like, you can return it. But it was like, you better go to the right place. Otherwise, they may not accept it.
Yes. Oh my goodness. And then I remember like you'd call customer service. I would want, oh, it's this tank top in M3. Like you'd give the whole, I don't know if there's young people listening to this right now. They're like, oh my God, back in my day when I used to order clothes, but wow, what a time to be alive. So those were some of our favorite stores from just people who submitted their suggestions on my Instagram poll. And then just as like a general thing, because I think we all say this, like we just miss, we miss being young. And like, that doesn't mean that we don't enjoy our parenthood and our, like, we enjoy everything that we have right now because our journey led us here. But like, you just miss a lot of stuff that came with youth. And I polled everybody. I said, what is the number one thing that you miss from being young? And some of these answers are friggin' hilarious. The first answer from Jess was sleep. And she's a parent. But even a parent or not parent, because I think obviously if you have kids, like just it's out the window generally, like you're not sleeping past 7:00, and a lot of people are not sleeping. They probably just heard me say 7:00 and they're like, screw you, Mary. My kid's up at 5:10 in the morning. But even still, like whether you have kids or not, like your circadian rhythm, like your body just does not allow you to sleep in late anymore. Like you're lucky if like you go to bed at 9 or 10 and wake up at like 5 undisturbed. Don't you always wake up in the middle of the night now?
I'm actually a super good sleeper.
Oh.
So I don't wake up. My wife wakes up all the time because she'll tell me. I mean, every now and then I'll wake up.
Yeah.
But it's not because I have to go to the bathroom. It's just I'll randomly wake up. But normally I don't. So I sleep through anything. There could be an earthquake. She could be jumping on my head. And
Catherine's like, you bastard.
Yeah, that's one of the things she always tells me. I don't know how you sleep through everything. I'll be like, what? There was what last night? What happened? There was an ambulance? I didn't hear anything.
I didn't hear any. Okay, so Claudio's not taking care of stuff if shit goes down in the middle of the night. I generally sleep pretty well, but even Jay and I say the amount of stuff that you're thinking about right before you go to sleep, it totally inhibits your ability to like either fall asleep soundly or stay asleep. Also, if you're of a certain age, if you have one glass of wine now, completely screws up your sleep. Like it tastes great in the moment, and then you're like, why the hell did I drink that? Because now it's like it slows down your system, but it impacts your sleep, So yeah, sleeping undisturbed and really deeply from back in the day, that's totally something a lot of people miss. 2 people, Lindsay and my cousin Leah, actually said having meals cooked by other people. And my cousin specifically said living on Ave's cooking, my Aunt Ava, who's my godmother. She's like a fantastic cook. This woman I just watched for like years of my life. She just whips stuff up, and she's total Italian. She just loves cooking for people. And she does it so effortlessly. We say she's a swan, and she just like glides around the kitchen. And I do enjoy cooking, but like a couple times a week. I don't have this big desire that I want to cook like 5 to 7 times a week. And thankfully, I'm married to somebody who loves cooking. But I think also when you have all of the activities from either your own or doctor's appointments or kids stuff, like you got to remember, like, is something defrosted? Do I have the stuff in the house? How long is it going to take to cook this? At the end of dance practice, do I want to get home at 6:00 and start cooking? Like, no, we really don't. So then you end up doing like, oh, let's get some Chinese. Let's get some McDonald's. I know a lot of people do that. So yeah, you took for granted, I think, a little bit back in the day, like warm home cooked meals by somebody else. And all you had to do was show up to the table and enjoy them. Unless it was vegetables for me back in the day. My mother was brutal with the veg. My mother cooked vegetables that like adults, like she would make escarole and beans. Okay. And my brother, I don't remember if he liked it back when we were younger, but like my mother had a rule, like whatever I cook, you eat. And I love my mother to death, but like I did not eat a lot of veg for most of my life because it was like forced upon me. So like I do things a little bit differently with my daughter now. Like she doesn't like every vegetable, and that's okay. But the ones that you like you have to eat, so you get some nutrients and stuff. But I remember my mother was like, you're not getting off this table until you eat your vegetables. And I was like, can I get like a green bean or something a little bit less offensive than escarole. And it doesn't even smell good. It doesn't look appealing. None of that. So what we decided after years and years of dealing with that was we would just stall until Daddy came home. And then my father would let us throw them out. Thanks, Dad. So yeah, besides the veggies that were thrust upon us when we were younger, when you got the good meals, you got the pastas, and like every once in a while you get a banger meal that you're just like, hell yeah.
Are you still not into like veggies and stuff like that, or no?
Jay has saved me.
Yeah.
I love veggies when he cooks them. I like them crisp. I don't like things mushy.
Oh, right. You know what's crazy? So when I was growing up as a kid, like a young little fella, right?
Little fella.
I didn't eat anything. Ironically, because if you know me now, I eat everything.
Uh-huh.
So I was super picky. Didn't really eat anything at all. No veggies. I hated fish. All the things that you would think that are delicious, nothing. My mom used to put veggies when I wouldn't eat them, and she would blend them. And she would want me, not that I did, because I would spit it out half the time, but she would want me to like eat it that way. Long story short, so this is how I was as a child. Now that I'm an adult, there's nothing I don't eat. I love fish. Probably one of my favorite things in the world is seafood now. Whereas when I was a kid, I smelled tuna and I would like try not like I would go hide in my room. I didn't want to eat, So it's weird how our palates kind of change as we age. Because the things I hated before, I'm pretty like I love them. Now, yeah.
If it's from the sea, it ain't for me. I do not eat seafood. I've tried.
Really?
I've tried a lot of it, and Jay cooks so well that like I want to love like crab cakes and I want to love lobster because like what the hell would you not love dipping something into melted butter? But I don't like the texture. I don't like the aftertaste. A lot of times I don't like the smell.
Wow. Seafood is probably my favorite. If there was only one thing left on earth,
really,
I would thrive with seafood.
I think mine would be pizza.
Well, pizza's my favorite probably dish, but if there's only one thing left to eat on earth, I think I'd be happy with anything from the sea.
Wow. Yeah, not me. God bless you with that. Okay, next up is Christina. She said, what do we miss from being young? No social media, less technology. We played outside and we enjoy the simple things of life. I totally, I do love social media. I love that it's transformed business practices and the opportunities that we have. Obviously, I'm sitting here on a podcast of which I share clips on social media to help promote myself, my brand, my business, and my books. So I love what social media brings to the table, but as with everything in life, like it just needs to be balanced. You're sitting there scrolling on your phone. Like a lot of people are guilty of that, even when you get together as families. Everybody could be sitting around a dining room table and you're all still scrolling your phone, as opposed to like, here's a basket. Let's put all our phones in. Let's just have a friggin' conversation with each other. I do miss that. I miss that. I do. I think a lot of people feel that way. Do you?
Yeah, I definitely notice it now. Like, it's even hard when you say, "Oh, let's put our phones away," and people are very hesitant, very reluctant to detach from them. It's become such a limb of ours that it's really
we're all
kind
addicted.
of poor. Yeah, it's not a good thing. So I've never really because I always loved the idea of the phones and all that stuff. So when this started kind of happening, I was all for it and I loved it because just technology, having all this technology at your disposal.
Information.
It was awesome. It was just awesome. So you get caught in that. Now that I do a lot more of it on my phone, I do see how bad it is. And I've also noticed like I'm getting like my fingers start hurting. Oh, yeah. Like certain muscles.
Arthritis
and joints.
in your fingers, your wrists.
Yeah. So
totally.
we're gonna be paying for this in the next like 20
Our
years.
eyesight. I had to switch everything to blue light filtering stuff.
Oh yeah. Me too. On my phone because I'm always on it.
Always on it. Megan said having energy. And I'm with you there. It's just life can totally just zap you of energy. I have found though when I eat better, I eat less carbohydrates, I drink less, I'm just healthier in general, the energy is boosted. When I sit there and I'm eating some of my favorite foods and I do that consistently and just like eat sort of shitty, it zaps me of my energy.
Well, think about like our body resilience. When we were younger, we could eat whatever we wanted and we would bounce back and it wouldn't affect us in any way.
Yeah.
Whereas now you have some bad meals strung together and you're going to feel it.
Oh, you're going to pay for it for days.
So that's something I definitely miss. Like when, how quickly our bodies would bounce back and how much they could absorb. We were doing whatever we wanted and never being concerned.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to get fat. I'm going to do this or it's going to affect me. You didn't care.
Yeah.
Because our bodies were just perfect for that.
In one of the other episodes, I was talking about how age 40, everything stopped working. And then I posted a snippet on TikTok and somebody came for me like, oh, I hate this mindset that your whole body stops working when you're 40. And that's just something that you perpetuate. You have to treat your body, da, 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 da. Like, listen, I'm not like the picture of health, but I'm also like not the most unhealthy person ever to exist. So like I do things as well as I can. Regardless, you could be the most fit, healthy eating person. You're still going to come into contact with something on your body at age 40 and beyond that stops working properly. It's part of the aging process, you know? And if it makes somebody feel a little bit less alone, I did the snippet and it was like, you know, I gained weight and, you know, who's got cholesterol and who's got this. Like I was just off the cuff saying things that I know other people have. I wasn't talking about me having all of those frigging ailments at once. So that's one thing too. The more that we do these snippets, you get a lot of people with a lot of opinions, and I got to keep the face and I can't argue back with people. Louisa said going to DA club with my friends, which was hilarious. I laughed out loud at that. Daniela said not having responsibilities, you know, and that's just that kid stuff. Your responsibilities back then were doing your homework and not getting kicked out of school, right? Like what else did you have back then? That's it. Kat said free of adult responsibility and having all the free time in the world, which again, back then you end up wasting because you do sleep a lot when you're younger. Like,
also think about like kids today. I mean, kids today, especially when you have parents that are wanting you to be like occupied, there's kids that have like such busy schedules. And like, I remember, I don't know, back in our day, you could have a little bit of a busy schedule, but your little bit of a busy schedule meant that maybe you were doing like an after school program or like a sport. And that was kind of really it. And then from that point, you could kind of hang out. Whereas I feel like there's kids today that they go from school to the after school program, then from the after school program to the special club. And then from the special club, they have to go to like another leadership thing that the parents put them into. Before you know it, kids are getting home like 8, 9 o'clock at night after being out and having been doing things, you know, from 7 o'clock in the morning. That is different than from our time. Like, I don't think I could do that. Like, I was happy going to my practice after school, doing all that, and then being able to veg out or do whatever I wanted.
And you still got home at like 4 o'clock.
Yeah, it was still like nice out. You could still like kind of go hang out.
Yeah, I agree with you for sure. Jeff had said no cell phones or internet, having a house phone, which was great until you had to fight somebody to use it. Or when it was like late 90s, early 2000s, when somebody would get on the house phone and kick you off your AOL chat room. Frank, get off the phone.
My mic was even on. But it is right. Remember the dial-up, like the whole ringtone?
Yeah.
Remember back when you could get
so
two or the one line in your house, but you could have multiple phones set up, and if somebody was talking, you could pick up the other line quietly and listen in on the conversation. That was terrible. Yeah. I never did that, by the way. I just know about it.
Really?
Somebody
that sounded very specific for you not having done that, sir.
My sister's conversation.
Your sister should listen to this and be like, I believe that is fake news, actually. And then I said being blissfully unaware of the difficulties of life, which is basically going to lead us to our next episode. So I am big on being, I say this word all the time too, I have to stop saying it so much, but transparent. And we're talking here a lot about, you know, marriage and parenting and the hardships of life and health and finances and all of that stuff. And so often I feel like there's times that all of us are like, did our parents just lie to us about how hard life was back then? Or did we just not pay attention? And I also think there's a very fine balance between when people tell you their experiences, which can be positive or negative. Like if people are those just wait people, oh, you think this is hard? Just wait until you get here. I absolutely fucking hate that. I hate when people say that to me. But that is a good segue, even though I was trying not to like always announce the next episode or whatever. That is going to be our next episode. It's going to be our parents, the gatekeepers. Because a lot of us feel like they just gate-kept a lot of stuff from us, you know, which, again, you could look at that and be like, were they keeping it from us or were they just trying to let us live our lives and like not throwing a whole bunch of negativity? Because I would not take kindly to like, oh, well, to get married, you're going to have bop, 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 bop. I don't want that negativity in my life. And I very much remember being pregnant. I did not want to hear people's horror stories about being pregnant or their childbirth. Don't come at me with that negativity because I'm going to have my own experience with it, which was actually, I'm going to add that to that next episode too. Parent gatekeepers and a little bit of my birth story and how much I hate my sister for hers. That's going to be our next episode. So hopefully this one put a lot of smiles on your faces. I'm about to go Google and see if Gap says ohm.
I have a question for you.
Oh, yeah. I love questions.
Because I don't even think you answered. You answered everyone else's. What was your favorite thing that you missed from back in those days?
Oh, well, no, I did. That was the last one. Being blissfully unaware. When I said Mary, that was me. Being blissfully... Mary, me. I'm weighing in. Being blissfully unaware of the difficulties of life. Like, you just, like, what was our difficulty of life back then? Was, my non-existent boyfriends who I loved that didn't even barely know that I existed. And that's why I write romance now, I guess. I don't know. But,
you know what was my favorite?
What?
And it took me a minute as you were talking. So I remember loving to do this, and I kind of miss it, right? So when I was younger, especially when I got my license and I started driving, I used to love, and remember back in the day, gas was like $1.
Oh my God. I remember one time it was 87 cents.
Yeah, that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, no.
So I used to love getting in the car and just drive. Like, I think I learned every back road in Westchester County just from that, just from being a teenager in high school or in the summers and getting one or two or three friends, getting in the car, putting some music on, and just driving and just going aimlessly all over.
What car did you have?
Oh, I had a couple throughout high school. So
okay.
I had a little 87 Nissan Sentra with roll-up windows. Was my
oh my God,
one.
Berkey, my best friend Berkey, the Nissan Sentra. We go way back with that.
That thing was good. It moved. And then I upgraded to a little BMW. I was like, ooh, but it was like older than like dirt. It was like a 1984.
Oh my God, you have the same fleet as Christine, my best friend from college. Hilarious.
I loved that car. That one kind of took me into college. And it was nice. It was, the first one was like my dad gave it to me. It was a little old, his little beater, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the second one was like it was nice. It was shiny. So I was excited. And I was into cars, so it was like my little thing. But I used to love going with friends and
just driving.
And I don't even think we went ever like really in mine because mine was a 2-door, so it wasn't like you're fitting a lot of people.
Right.
But my friend had a Taurus, and if you remember back in the day, the Ford Taurus was kind of like the family car.
Oh yeah.
4 doors, super smooth. You could put 5 people in there and be comfortable for that, just driving around. So that's one of the things I miss a ton. That was awesome.
I mean, technically you could still do that, but it's just congested.
Yeah, no, I mean you would spend so much money in gas. Oh, that's the other thing too. Like, so gas is way more expensive. So I don't think you're just driving aimlessly, right?
Yeah.
And the second thing is like there's way more cars out in the streets today than there was 20 years ago or 25 years ago. So I think that makes
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I miss my days. I had a Mustang. My first car was a Mustang, black one, and then I totaled it, and then I got a red convertible that was used, and then my brother took that one, and then my first job I got my own Mustang, and it was a black Mustang GT this time because when I was in high school, everybody's like, "Oh, is it a GT?" And I was like, "No."
So you were peeling out there. You were burning out.
I always had a little bit of a lead foot. Okay, still do if we're being honest. But we're not going to put any of that on video. How many times I've been pulled over? We'll just thank my brother for being a cop and always having a PBA card, I guess.
So I'm assuming you've gotten pulled over in the past.
Yes.
Okay. When was the first time you got pulled over?
When I was in high school.
Afi, how far back?
What year was that?
Or no. Like, do you remember exactly when or no? Mine was memorable. I think that's why it's so clear in my mind. So
no, actually, I was pissed because it was for going through a yellow light. No, it was going through a red light, to which I was like, that was pretty much yellow. And like, I always take yellow lights as suggestions.
There were no cameras back then either. So
well, he caught me. I was on back roads, and he's like, "You went through a red light." I'm like, "I'm pretty sure it was yellow." He's like, "You're not supposed to go through yellow lights either." I'm like, "Well, shit."
I got my first ticket literally 2 weeks after I got my license, which then made me it got suspended, and I had to go like. Go to the judge and talk to him, whatever.
Was for speeding?
And yes. And I was going way more than double the speed limit.
Okay.
2 weeks into getting my license, and I got a provisionary license that would only allow me to go to school and back, and I had to be home before I think it was like before it got dark outside.
Parents must have been thrilled.
Yeah, they were not happy. They were And there's more to the story, which I can't say on the air. But,
and on that note, we are going to pull out here. We're going to cut it, and we are going to roll on over to parents gatekeeping. And this was really fun. I want to do more of these. But thank you guys for tuning in, as always. We'll see you next week for Life Actually with Mary Belle.
so much for tuning in. Like, subscribe, share, follow the full journey on social media at the handle mary.belle.books. And if you have need for audio-visual content creation and recording services, Cayivisions is located in Stamford, Connecticut, and can also be found on Instagram at CAYI Visions.